Hey, folks, how we doing?
Good.
You claimed host, Lorna, huh?
I did. I found it this time.
There you go. Good. See, we're proving every one of these, right? That's it.
I know.
Not bad. Haven't seen you folks in a while. Everybody doing well?
Yeah.
That's good.
Marie does such a better job at this than I do.
I just got too many of these things that keep on these Mondays getting crazy. It's like I have a meeting every Monday. I don't know how that's possible.
Wait till we go back to live meetings.
You know, I need to clone myself or something, you know?
No.
Send me around everywhere.
Hi, folks. I think I just unmuted myself. I'm Paul. I'm one of the newest members. It's nice to see you guys. Nice to meet everybody.
Welcome aboard, Paul.
Well, hi, Paul. Everybody hasn't joined in yet, so the meeting hasn't started.
Sure. Just figured I'd put a name to the face.
Yeah. Right. Whoops. Hi, Janice.
Hello. Hi, Jan.
Hmm.
I can see it now, I remember.
Just wait a couple more minutes to see if some more people are able to join. I didn't hear from anybody saying that they were not able to come tonight, except for Marie's on vacation and actually is flying in late tonight, I think. So safe travels for her.
And Bill's joining us from England again.
Ah, lovely England. It's nice over here.
Paul, could you tell me your last name and please spell it?
Yep, Paglarani. And let me I'll modify the Zoom in a moment. Paglierani.
Thank you.
You bet. Let's see.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi.
Give it one more minute. I think we have a quorum anyhow, so we'll start in another minute because I know Bill actually has another meeting to get to. And
I am double booked, as they say.
yeah.
Lucky you.
Oh, yeah. This is an exciting one. I get to go to the bylaw review committee. Doesn't that sound riveting?
Okay, so let us commence. I have the flag. Okay. Oh, okay. Do you still have your flag, Lois, too?
We always have a flag.
Yeah, me too. Okay. So let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The United
of
States.
the United States of America and to the republic
For
for which it stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under God,
God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
for all.
Thank you. Okay, so our mission is to address the needs and concerns of our disabled residents and provide their full participation in the activities and services of Wakefield. I do want to welcome Paul, and I know that I'm going to probably really massacre your last name. Paul Pagliarani.
Paglarani, yep.
Pagliarani.
Paglarani.
And Daniel Benjamin. And Lois is re-upped again, which is awesome.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah.
34 years, I think.
34 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
But who's counting, right?
I started 34 years ago.
So, hi there, Paula.
Hello. Sorry I'm
We
late.
yeah, that's okay. We just got through the Pledge of Allegiance and the mission statement, and wanted to thank Paul and Dan for becoming new members of the committee, and Lois for re-upping her commitment to the commission also. So before, I don't see any public participation right now anyhow, but we'd like to hear from Bill so that he can be singly booked after us.
There you go. So of course, you all know that you can reach out to me at any point. Paul, just for your background. So I'm the town engineer here, but also the ADA coordinator. So most things I'm helping to coordinate stuff for the commission. So anything that comes to your mind or concerns, questions, I'm here as your resource to help you with, and the commission, obviously, for anything that you folks want to do. So I received a few questions from Lorna and Marie prior to the meeting that I figured I'd touch upon. So the first piece was an update on the ADA swing. If you recall, last fall, the town council appropriated $25,000 of ARPA money for a handicap swing to be installed somewhere in town. I believe the charge that I got, I was trying to figure out where it was going to go. Working with Dennis Fazio and his folks at the school, they determined that the best location would be the Dolbear due to a student that will be moving in there and that will need that accommodation. So that was where we looked to put it. Those swings, Lorna, I think you were the one that was asking what the cost was. So that's, as it has ballooned up to about $37,000. And I think it's a little different from the ones that we were sending emails back and forth, because this actually has a ramp that builds in so that, you know, the child can kind of wheel up and then kind of back into a spot. And it has a secondary seat for somebody that wants to join them on the swing. So that's the one that was chosen. I can forward along to the commission kind of a rendering of what that looks like if anyone's interested. I'll pass that along.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely pass that along to everybody. So that's kind of the game plan at this point. I know we want to have one down at the lake, so that'll be kind of a next phase thing. I did include within the budget a request for, I believe, about $100,000. So I'm not sure where that stands for just ADA related items. So if we wanted to go do a second swing, we would have that as an option to fund it. I'm figuring we could also use this for any kind of accessibility things to get into, like a park or something like that would be another place. You know, we had talked about that as an option, Janice, back, you know, back in the day. So we have that other stuff funded at this point through our sidewalk program, but I figured, you know, as we're moving forward, as these ideas creep in, we have a little bit of, you know, capital funds to start moving those things and those initiatives forward. So that's kind of how I'm envisioning that go with you folks. So the other piece was on the letter. So we had that, the presentation from the Metro Tech about their, their accessible programs at the site and different, the different features at the site. The comment memo was included within within a memo to the ZBA. ZBA closed on the project at their last meeting last week. That did incorporate the landing area that was discussed. So that I think they proposed about a 10 by 10 area that'll be in kind of halfway through that big meandering wooden path thing that we were talking about. So that was included within it. And then the letter to go to the school committee and kind of everybody else there. So that was on my plate to do, and it totally slipped off my radar. So I have the folks' emails. I gathered those up over the last couple of days, and I will get those in a correspondence out this week. So I don't know, Lorna, I'll probably have you sign off as the co-chair on the letter and get that over to them via email probably later in this week. So I'll have that all pulled together for you.
Sure.
Okay.
Great.
And I think that was all we had lying around, right? Oh, there was the request on how to handle the what did we get? A letter from the office, the Mass Office on Disability for a request for a variance from the MMAB for the heights of some sinks. So that hasn't come to my attention. I don't have a copy of that. So I don't know how that got to you folks, if it was directly from them to you. But if you want to forward that over, we can take a peek and I can help craft up a response to that. I wanted to go lower. I'm not sure that's something we would want to see happen. Or maybe it's in certain units and not all of them. I'm not really clear.
Bill, can you
Perhaps
talk
that
about
letter may have gone. Go ahead. Excuse me, Janice, go ahead.
Where is this request for? I missed that.
It's for the 200 Quinnipiac Parkway project.
Okay. Oh, got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think perhaps the letter went to Marie and she probably hasn't had a chance to share it with us. At least I don't remember. It's not ringing a bell with me.
Yeah, she included it in the email as an act, like something to discuss.
Yeah.
And to give some thoughts on it, but yeah, without reading it, I'm not sure if I have thoughts.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we can, I'll take a peek through that if we can get that to me, and then we can craft up a response that's appropriate. But I would say lowering the sink heights, below the threshold. I mean, you got to kind of hit that sweet spot in between, right? So you wouldn't be able to wheel up to it if that's the case. So I don't know if that's only for certain units or if there's other units that are accessible, but I think they should at least have some level of accessible units meeting all of the requirements, not just some of them. So.
This is for units. This is not for the public bathroom.
Not that I have no idea. It said bathrooms, I think, in the email from her. So I'm just going off what I heard in the email from Marie. So
do we know if they're creating units that are going to be fully either accessible or accessible ready?
They definitely did. That was discussed as part of their project part. So they had that in there. But we can, I can look into it to see if this is maybe, a few of them won't have the height of the sink, or if it's at least there's going to be a handful that are fully accessible. I think we can look into that.
How many units are they planning on that will be accessible?
That I don't have off the top of my head, but I can gather that. Yeah, when I do the review of all of it, I can roll it all up, and I'll send an email to everybody so you guys all have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I say one thing, Bill? I want to thank you, and I want to thank Dennis Fazio. I know we've harassed Dan McGrath, Steve Mayo for 6 years to try and get that wheelchair swing. And we're so happy to see that going in.
That's
and
awesome.
there'll be kids in Wakefield that'll be happy also.
Yeah,
And
we'll
if
look at that second one.
If possible, could you have a little dedication of that playground, and maybe Lorna and Marie or something could attend it?
Yeah.
Because that's the first of its kind of maybe many in the town of Wakefield.
Yeah.
As long as you could do.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Sure. All right. So
If
that's
not-
all I had to present or to discuss. I don't know if there's any questions that you'd like me to field before I bid you adieu?
I don't have any questions for you at this point, Bill. Does anybody else, so that we can let Bill go on his merry way to the next meeting?
You should.
No,
All right.
guess you're free to go, and thank you so much, Bill. As always, you are amazing.
No, I'm just doing my gig. That's what they pay me for. So thank you, folks. I'll talk to you soon. And
Okay.
yeah, we'll be in touch in between on email. Bye, folks.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Take
Have a good
care,
one.
Bill.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, so let us finish with the introductions. And so that Paul and Dan are familiar with who we are, though Dan probably knows us anyhow, but I'll start off, Lorna Davidson Conley, and co-chair with Marie. I have a son with disabilities. I've also worked in the field of deafness for many, many years. And I think maybe this is my 5th year. Yeah, maybe my 5th year on the commission, I think. So Janice?
Unmute. My name is Janice Marabasi, and this is my 2nd year. So it's all kind of mush in my brain when things start and end these days. I worked for the Department of Public Health for 37 years. I'm now sort of retired. I'm finishing up some of the work. I had an incredibly strong interest in disability access for a very, very long time. I had a child with disabilities who's no longer living, but I have a whole lot of friends and family members for whom disability issues is pertinent. And I really enjoy working with this group, and welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Janice.
Paula?
Hi, sorry to be off camera. I'm driving, and so nobody needs to see that. I'm Paula Thompson. I think this is my 4th year on the commission. Welcome. I Wakefield disability advocacy organization, and I've held a bunch of different roles there. We mostly work with people with intellectual disabilities. And I've been there for just about 17 years. Welcome to the group.
Thanks.
Kristen?
Hi, my name is Kristen Bardall. I am a physical therapist. I've been working in the field for about 25 years. I have 2 teenage boys, and just the town of Wakefield means a lot to me, and to be able to bring my experience in the world of physical therapy to this commission has been enjoyable for the last 2 years, so welcome.
Thanks.
Lois?
I guess, as I said before, I started this 35 years ago, with Commission on Disabilities. I'm very proud of that. And I think it's great for everybody. Myself, I have a disability. I'm legally blind. But I guess you'd never know it. So that's how I feel very happy that I'm helping other people than myself.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. And again, welcome to Dan and Paul.
Thanks.
We need to approve the minutes of March 6th and March 13th. And there was actually no minutes from April 3rd because there wasn't enough of a quorum.
Right.
So,
Those minutes are not with you yet. I'm still typing them.
March 3rd and 13th is still,
Yes,
Being
March
typed?
6th and March 13th are still being typed up and
I mean,
sent
March
out.
6th.
So
okay.
I apologize profusely for that. I got way behind on several different things. This was one of them.
Totally
We should have them by
understand.
tomorrow.
Okay.
You still have to have meeting, minutes of the meeting, even though it wasn't a quorum. I think a quorum is just for voting.
They did not go through the meeting at all. I wasn't there on April 3rd, so I don't know how many people were able to go, but I think there was only maybe 2 or 3. Right.
Even though you have a quorum, I think you can still have a meeting, but you just can't vote on anything.
Well, Marie decided to probably just postpone that meeting.
Right.
Okay, so financial report as of March 31st. Any
That's not
changes?
No change.
No parking tickets on any, this has been a long time that no one seems to be parking illegally in those spots and getting tagged.
I know.
Well, good that they're not parking there.
Well,
Yeah.
it is, it's very good, but it just seems like it's very strange that, but there may not be a policeman at the time that somebody's illegally parking there also, so,
They should deputize us.
yeah, I know it.
Good
So
idea.
I see them. I see them. Paul, that's one of the ways that it's the only way actually that the Commission on Disabilities has any funds, and that is through the 34 years of people parking illegally
Hmm.
in the handicap slots and being ticketed.
Okay. It's interesting. Thanks.
Okay, so we get down to the old and new business, and we're supposed to get an update on the community health inclusion grant, and I was hoping that maybe Judy is going to click in pretty soon. I just sent her a text asking her if she was going to be at the meeting, and she said yes. So hopefully she will be joining any second now, and I bet you Paul is probably parking her car or decided it wasn't too good to be walked. Excuse me.
Just as long as she doesn't
This
park
is
in
the
the,
town of Wakefield calling me, so I'm just gonna put myself on a mute to find out.
just probably to do.
Dan and Lois, every time I drive past that Veterans Field sign, which is often because I live off of Prospect Street, it makes me smile. It's beautiful.
Well, it makes me smile right now because it looks like Lois's hand is sticking out of my ear.
Oh.
That could be uncomfortable.
Hopefully that gets on the town report.
What the call? No, actually it was, I guess, from the Veterans Committee or something. I just told them to call me back. So we're still waiting for. Because basically that has the update on the community health inclusion grant was just something that we wanted to update on, and we really didn't have anything pressing else to put on the agenda, especially with Marie not being here. So, I don't know. I don't know whether I should hum a tune or do a tap dance or
Both.
both, right? Well, yeah, this is great because you can't see my feet and you don't know how bad I'm tap dancing. I just sent Judith. Ah, there she is. Hi, Judy.
Hi, sorry, I got tied up with something.
Okay, so Judy, we have two new members to the committee, Dan Benjamin and Paul P. And Judy, would you like to introduce yourself to our new members? And of course, you know Lois, who re-upped again for another term.
Yes. So my name's Judy Tanner, and I've been on the committee for about a year. It's a great group, and thrilled to continue working with everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so we've worked our way down the agenda till we got to old and new business, which we have down here is the update on the Community Health Inclusion Grant. And so if you could give a little background of this grant and then where are we now?
Okay. So there are 4 towns that are part of this small grant called the Community Health Inclusion Grant. Those include Melrose, Linfield, Stoneham, and Wakefield. So the focus of it is for access for people with mobility limitations, and it's mainly to develop an action plan. So there's an assessment that is called the CHII, Community Health Inclusion Initiative. The assessment is a tool to measure a broad level of health inclusion in our communities. And the goals are to better understand existing issues affecting residents with mobility limitations, and also to bring partners together to implement appropriate solutions. So the survey includes issues around a number of topics. The main ones are transportation and any obstacles regarding transportation, again, specific to mobility limitations. So for example, if a person's trying to get into a building, is there a curb? Is there a step? Is there a threshold? If they're trying to get from a parking area to a building, is there a slope? Are there breaks in the surface of a sidewalk? That sort of thing. And so the survey would be for each specific location. So for example, for a person trying to use a food pantry, or a person trying to use a senior center, or a person trying to maybe get to a religious organization, any community sort of location. And then for the doors, there are obstacles such as a door handle that might be challenging, thresholds, and then restrooms, are those accessible? And then part of the survey is also about information. Is it large print? Is it something that people can access if they had other challenges, maybe not specific to just mobility? And then for Wakefield, I believe the locations that they assessed was the Most Blessed Sacrament Church, the food pantry, the senior center, and the farmer's market. If I am correct in that. And then we have a follow-up meeting, which will be held on Wednesday, May the 10th. And then I'll learn a little bit more about what those assessments were. So they had a couple of folks going around from the Health and Human Service departments doing these very specific assessments. And then there's a small amount of funds that can be used to try to help with some of these barriers. So we were talking about very specifically maybe a chair, for example, for maybe the farmer's market or the senior center, or something that maybe had arms so that a person could easily get up and down out of it. We had also talked about one of the locations, not specific to Wakefield, was looking at getting maybe a little portable ramp for a threshold. So we had looked into some resources for that. And I'll know a little bit more once we have the follow-up meeting to what they've decided to use for some of those funds. So that's kind of the rundown. And I don't think I can answer any specific questions about it until after I go to the next meeting. But hopefully that was clear for everyone.
I do have a question for you. When you said that people are going around doing the assessments, is somebody actually coming to Wakefield and assessing those 4 or 5
Correct.
areas that you had mentioned?
Yes. So they actually had on site. I'm not sure if they did all, those were some that were discussed. I'm not sure until I go to the meeting. I won't know if they went to all 4 of those or if they picked 1 or 2 of those. I'm not totally sure. But those were some of the ones that were targeted as community areas that might be nice to have an assessment. There might have even been some others in addition to that. We talked about a couple of other areas maybe. But it's a questionnaire that they would go around and actually look like at the door and at the threshold and at the entries and make sure that everything was easily accessible, and if not, where the improvements could be.
Judy, you said that folks were from Health and Human Services. Were they from Mass Office on Disability, or where were they from?
There's a variety of partners that are involved, and specifically the City of Melrose with the Health and Human Service Department. They're kind of our contact person. And then there's other partners such as myself from this board. The Wakefield Senior Center, I know, has been actively involved with this as well. And then, as I mentioned, there's other towns included. So Melrose, Linfield, Stoneham, and Wakefield. It's a very small grant.
It wasn't the state Health and Human Services. This was the local Melrose.
Yeah.
Where did the grant come from?
So it's called the Community Health Inclusion Grant.
Vendor is?
Excuse me?
Is it federal funding or state funding or?
So to be honest with you, I really can't answer a lot of the questions about it. That's kind of the limits to my notes here. But there is a packet that I was given that probably answers that if I put my fingers on it right now. But I can ask when we go to the follow-up meeting. I'll know a lot more then, because right now they've been kind of really focusing on the assessments. And then we'll hear more about what the findings were from that.
I'd be curious to know whose assessment they're using, because the Department of Public Health worked on.
So it's called CHII assessment, and there is, I looked it up on the internet, and I have a copy on my computer here, but it's very specific. So it could be used for really almost any public location, because it's just a questionnaire with checklists that you would go through, but it's very specific.
Right. So I'm wondering, we have a Massachusetts facility assessment tool that was developed in Massachusetts that's specific to Massachusetts, that goes by the Massachusetts Architectural Board guidelines and the ADA.
It's probably very similar then, if it's not very similar, like it is that. Because it's really like even down to measurements and.
Right. This is a very, very, very extensive tool that was developed by Department of Public Health, and then it was in with the Institute for Human Centered Design, located in Boston. It's an internationally known place, but it's happens to be located in Boston. And there's a video online. I'll make sure I share it in the notes that people can go through. There's hopefully the video is done. It was supposed to have been done by December. But there is an interactive tool that you can use that's publicly accessible to anybody who wants to use it. I just
would that be for existing buildings, or is that for? Yes. So
yes, it's to measure health and human service buildings. So any agency that contracts with the Department of Public Health and gets money from the Department of Public Health is going to have to use this tool to assess their buildings and make sure that their buildings are accessible. And the tool's been around, but not in this format, because now it's electronic. It used to be a paper-based tool. So this is now an electronic tool. And I'm going to say it's been around since it's probably about 25 years old at this point, but it's only about 2 years old as an electronic tool. And then the video about how to use the electronic tool is, I think it might be complete at this point in time, but I would just want to make sure that they're using a tool that is correct for Massachusetts, because some of the architectural board guidelines sometimes exceed the ADA requirements. And in Massachusetts, you have to use the MAAB requirement if it is more stringent than ADA. So interesting. I'll have to look it up.
And a lot of this is, as I mentioned, just to get discussion going. And, kind of shine a spotlight and have some partnerships, kind of as a starting point, I guess, in some regards.
It's too bad that Bill Renault isn't still here, because he's our ADA coordinator in Wakefield. And I think both Lois and I, a couple of years back, went up to North Reading, and they had something similar, an assessment of the buildings there. We measured, slopes of ramps, the heights of bathroom sinks, counters to like the town clerk's office. And I thought that the town had to do an assessment on all municipal buildings. And I'm wondering if Bill had that. And basically you had to start the assessment and then think about 5 years out, 10 years out, what you were going to do. And that's something you could ask him about. But I remember us looking at that, and too bad we can't ask him.
The only building that they're actually looking at was the senior center. So that's the only town-owned building that.
Well, the food pantry, that building, the American.
Food pantry.
Yeah, and then the farmer's market, of course, is an outside
on food
entity.
on Wakefield's property, right?
But I think you had to come up with some kind of a plan and prove that you had the plan. Otherwise, I think the state or federal government could come in and say, we want it done and we want it done now. And this gave them a little leeway to get the things done.
Well, I'll be looking forward to getting the next update is after May 10th, you said is their meeting?
Yes, so I'll be attending, yeah,
That's next week, yeah.
yeah, May 10th, I'm planning to attend. And then we'll see their updates and what maybe their recommendations were. And as I say, this is just a tiny bit of funding for, some very small items, but maybe they can give us a kind of a direction on some things we might want to look at in the coming months,
I wish
years.
they would have done an assessment on the MBTA with the commuter rail station.
Yeah.
Talk about things that need to be done. Nobody that's handicapped can get on one of those trains.
Yeah, but that one wouldn't come underneath this. That's something the MBTA should be taking care of, as we have said before, too. Yeah, I don't know how that discussion has gone forward or not. Dan, do you have any update on that?
No, they keep just pushing it forward. I mean, the last I heard, they were thinking about putting portable ramps in, which is just like a step going onto the train, which wouldn't help too much. I look at the commuter rail platform, the raised platform in Reading, and also in, I think, Melrose Highlands. I'm not sure about that. But in Wakefield, I know it would have to be on both sides because it's double tracked. But hey, they were talking, ridiculous figures like $20 million. And hard to believe that. I mean, we'll go up to the Vogue School up here in Wakefield and they could build one for a lot less than that.
So if they do a raised ramp, though, there isn't enough space on those sidewalks on either side of it to be able to do
Go to
one,
Reading.
or
Go to Reading and go to Melrose Highlands and there's enough room.
There's one in
Yeah, but
Rock, and it's all wood. So,
yeah, I saw, I've driven by it.
yeah, so like with the Vogue people could totally have built something like that.
Okay, so actually I'll try to get a note off to Bill and ask him about whether that's something that that Wakefield can do instead of having to wait around for the MBTA, which has never done anything.
I know that our state rep there, Kate Lipper Garabedian, I know she has been, looking into that.
Yes.
And
I know
also-
that we as a commission had written a letter for support of that. And again, noting the Grayson lofts that were put up there and their mandate now of having so many was it affordable housing near transportation? Well, you got to make sure your transportation is accessible.
You have to have 800. I just heard it today that there's Westwood is the first town that will probably be lose funding because they don't have a number of 850 units of affordable housing is what's required near enough to an MBTA station. I assume that means it could be on a bus line as well. So I wonder if we meet that with the new. I wonder if we will meet that once we've got the housing going in off Hopkins Street. That's all 40B.
Yeah, that figure is
Yeah,
always
but that's
moving.
not really near any of the transportation.
I don't know how far away you can be to be considered close enough to transportation. That doesn't seem like it is because it's not on a bus route.
No, I'm wondering if, once they put all these lovely things at the head of the lake, whether the MBTA would do a bus route through that parking lot area and go up North Ave through and come down Main Street or something like that.
They're supposed to be having, they're gonna have their own bus.
Yeah.
Allegedly, we'll see if. it
So
happens.
their own bus will go to where? Downtown Wakefield?
It will go to the train.
It will go to the train, okay.
I don't know where else it's supposed to go, but I think the main place it's supposed to go to is the train. And then there's more that's gonna go across the street on North Ave. Next to those apartments that were recently built, there's gonna be another apartment building going in there. That might all be 40B.
Yeah.
If I recall from.
There's an apartment building that went up on Water Street. I mean, it looks like it's coming to completion. I have no idea what their classification is.
It's hard to tell if they're rental units or if they're,
Or if they're
condos.
condos, right, I
Yeah.
know it.
Almost
Mhm.
everything's been rental units these days. So people
And
can-
then from my understanding is that, Mike's Gym has potentially been sold to a builder.
Mhm, and that will be residential units.
But I don't know when that's gonna take place either.
I think it's close.
Is it close to papers passing and all that?
It's getting there, yeah.
Yeah,
They've reduced, there was gonna be, I think, about 120 and they've reduced down to 100.
100.
But that's a tough intersection right there.
oh, God, yes.
And you got the school right beside it.
Yep. Public Works, school, Dunkin' Donuts, all the important things in town.
Yeah, Jiffy Lube.
Yes, exactly. I looked up the Community Health Inclusion Index and it's from NCPAD, the National Center for Health, Physical Disability. I forget what it is. I forget what NCPAD stands for, but it's an organization that they do a lot of accessible playground things. For example, they do physical activity for people with disabilities. And it looks like they are the folks who developed this. So that must be where the funding comes from. Wonder who, so it sounds like Melrose maybe applied for the grant on behalf of the 4 communities.
What did you say the 4 communities was? Melrose, Wakefield, Stoneham, Reading?
Linfield, I think.
The 4 communities are Melrose, Linfield,
Oh,
Stoneham, and Wakefield.
I think the Board of Health is wrong.
It's the physical activity. I forget. What it is. CDC. Interesting.
is there any other old business or new business or that anybody wants to bring up or to discuss or?
I think would be interesting to have the community health inclusion folks after they've presented, Judy, to see if they would consider presenting to us at a meeting, just even 15 minutes to talk about what they found. So I don't know if that's a possibility, but I would be really interested in hearing what they found. So I think about, like the farmer's market, it's all on grass. It's not
Right.
acceptable.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So it's sort of that I was asked to represent this group
Right.
at this. So I'll see what I can bring to you next time.
Right.
And then if there's extra questions that I can't answer, like I say, it's a very small grant. It's mainly to open discussion
Mhm.
and keep a little spotlight on the needs of the many. So I mean, anything that kind of focuses on this is great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Could
Well,
be
since
good
I
to
look-
get Bill Ronaldo involved with that meeting.
Yeah.
What was that, Dan?
I think it'd be good to have Bill Renault give his opinion on some of that stuff at that meeting. Because he is our liaison to the ADA.
Are you talking at the meeting on May 10th? Or are you talking about our next meeting?
Yeah, I think that the May 10th meeting, the partners are already have already been working on it for, involved for a while. But these are just the beginnings of discussions. So hopefully we can continue the discussions.
I think he knows the talk, and some of it is hard to explain with the ramp degree of slope and you name it, but I'm sure that he knows about it.
Yeah.
He is our town engineer, so.
He's also trained through Mass Office on Disability. He's like there's a beginner's level course you can take, and then two other courses that you can take. So maybe he's finished it, or he was in the highest level of course on disability access. And it's very hard to explain. How do you measure the slope of a ramp? It's you can take your cell phone now and lay it down sideways, and it gives the you can look at the degree, but just be careful nobody steps on your cell phone while you're down on the floor.
Possibility.
Okay, so if there is nothing else to discuss this evening,
Can I make one more rant while I'm here?
sure, what?
Can I make one more rant while I'm here?
Sure.
I just, saw where the closing of Biddy and Bowes in Melrose. That closed down, which I'm extremely sorry. We went there many, many times. And I wish that us in Wakefield could do something similar to that. I know it's, you have to be a franchise holder. But if we could do something similar to that, doesn't have to be a coffee shop, could be something else. But I know I had read in the paper either yesterday or today about they're going to have some of the storefronts across from the AmeriCal as like a little incubator mall to start up new little businesses, a brick and mortar. But, if we could look into that just to get something, they have somebody have a job, like I saw some of those kids at Biddy and Bowes, and they got that first paycheck and they were so excited about that. I mean, that was something, and we need to do something about that.
Well, the parents of the employees and some of the employees are all already starting to do something about that. It may not start off in Wakefield, but the hopes is that eventually it will be offshoot in Wakefield.
Okay. If we could write a letter, maybe as a board or something, favoring that, I'd sign for it.
So,
We would not open well, I don't know anybody that wants to engage in another franchise with Biddy and Bowes, so that would be probably at least for all the parents that had loved ones working there. There is, as I said, there is something in the making, and we've also we've talked to Ann Dennehy, and there's some grants in Wakefield, but we're not going to be ready to do anything like that for at least another year. The other place that we're working with in partnership, I don't think I'm yet able to talk about who that is and where it's going to be, but it will be in a surrounding town on a much smaller scale to start off with.
I know there's something similar to that. It's a building at, was it Liberty Tree Mall that sells crafts and
Yes.
stuff. I don't know the
Yes,
name of
that's
it.
all underneath Northeast Arc. That's run by the Northeast Arc, who also has some of their programming there at Liberty Tree Mall.
we've been there.
It's
Yeah.
a great place.
Yeah.
Right next to the movie theater. So you can go to the movies, then you can go shopping. Perfect combo.
The places like the Rotary Club and that, trying to get businesses like Shaw's to give more employment to disabled people. And, I know, well, I don't know what they call it now, Veramos up there in Greenwood, had some people working there, but we need to get that out there and say that we want more of this in the town.
Well, certainly that has been one of our objectives, and that we've talked to the Rotary. We're hoping to be able to talk to, oh, what's the other one in town?
Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, right, thank you.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to set that one up yet, but I think we all have, that's still an objective that we're working on, or a goal that we're working on anyhow. We have to go hit all the objectives first. So, yeah, because certainly we would like to see more people in the workforce that have disabilities, an array of disabilities. It doesn't just have to be people with intellectual disabilities, but an array of disabilities too.
But I know for 6 years, we tried to get that wheelchair swing, and it was kick somebody in the butt, So we finally hit the right person, I guess. But finally, we got something done, but you had to get out there, keep kicking. And that's what I'm saying. We got to keep kicking on all this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, we had seen McGrath.
Yeah.
He came to us and told us about the swing.
I have a fly running around my house here. It's driving me a little nuts. I don't know if you can hear him or not. Yeah, and it's nice that the swing is going to happen, and hopefully, with Bill Renault, knowing that it's one of the priorities that we've had for a while, certainly one of the priorities of the Benjamins. And he's hoping that this other grant will come through, then we can be able to put another one at one of the ends anyhow of the lake, at one of the playgrounds.
I think he said this was a good test case in case there's any vandalism. You can see how it goes there. And it's the school for most disabled kids.
Right.
They're coming in this
Yeah.
year.
Mhm.
That's being looked
So the
at.
timing was good,
Yeah.
getting it there.
Parents
And I
will be
think
very happy to hear that.
I think that swing has to have a circle around it of 30 feet. So that takes up a lot of space in itself.
It does. Most
Yeah.
all are supposed to have
That's-
that.
What was that, Janice?
And all swings need to have a huge, that's why a lot of playgrounds don't have swings. Because they have to have so much space behind and in front and on the sides. So that nobody smashes into somebody as they're swinging, or, they have to have a wide berth, and it all has to be injury prevention surface underneath. Sorry about my cat tonight. She's just wants to be part of this meeting desperately.
Which one of the playgrounds is going to have the accessible swing? I didn't hear which one.
Bill Bear
Doll
School.
beer, the doll beer, yeah. And they've got a good amount of property there, so that's really good. It's like the Greenwood School probably could never have one.
Oh, that's great to hear. That's wonderful that it's getting done.
And it's
Yeah.
I think, the biggest elementary school in the town too, population.
It's bigger than the Woodville population.
I think so,
Mhm.
because it combined two schools. Montrose School closed. And those kids all came to Dolbear.
Yeah. Well, Dolbear School was originally built to take off some of the pressure off of Montrose and Hurd.
Uh,
And of course, now there's no Hurd School. Well, buildings there, but
I think it's like 350 kids or something in it.
yeah, it could be.
Dolbear, and they have, because it was completely newly renovated, it was built to meet ADA requirements, unlike Greenwood School, which, 100 and something years ago, it was not. And many of the schools were not, but it was, they children with higher level special needs tend to end up at Dolbear. So that they can have the nursing staff especially kids that need nursing care. So kids with ventilators and things like that tend to end up at Dolbear. My sister was a school nurse there for about 12 years, I think.
Mhm. Okay, so if there's nothing else to discuss, would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting? Our next meeting, by the way, is June 5th. My son's birthday. Hmm.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Would anybody like to second it?
Second.
Thank you, Lois. Thank you, Paula. And everybody have a safe and healthy month,
Thank you.
and see you next month if we don't see you before, bumping into each other, you know. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask, and Dan, you probably might know this. When is it that the restaurants start doing the outside dining? Because we got to make sure they put the ramps out.
I don't know.
Okay, well, maybe I can ask Bill, because last year they put the ramps out, and when I'd be walking downtown, it'd be just like, oh, the ramps are there. This is wonderful, except for when they set up the tables and everything else. Anybody that had a walker or a cane or crutches or even a wheelchair, there was such a way that they could very easily catch their equipment onto the table or a chair. The ramp was there, but it just, you couldn't access getting into the full part. So, I mean, I was always around arranging the tables and chairs.
I know that town this year is supposed to have like that white fencing. So there's supposed to be more. I think it was one of the town councilors saw something in North Andover or something and said, maybe that'll look nice in Wakefield. I think
Well,
they
they
might
had the white fencing last year too.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it when the kids painted on the barrier, Jersey barriers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Plus
know
the fact that they're stronger if anybody tried to drive into them, you know.
I know Cafe Italia, I think that got hit twice by cars. And then they were actually in one of the spaces for the handicap parking.
Right. I'm not too sure if that was Cafe Italia's problem or if that was actually Harrington's problem, because it was Harrington that had that beer garden out front.
Before we adjourn, can we just look at the calendar? So it's my understanding that we don't meet in July and August, correct? So
Correct.
really June will be the last meeting for a while.
Right.
And then for September, I'm assuming that we would meet the Monday after Labor Day.
Yeah, it would be the second Monday of September that we would meet, because the first
Okay.
Monday is always Labor Day.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome. Okay, so without further ado, everybody have a great month. Take care. Be well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Go Celtics.
Yes, yes.